Hi guys, welcome to the Taoist Qi Gong podcast. Let's see what we got today for questions. From episode 60, from Spectre2434. Okay, thanks for sharing, Adam. This video was very concise. I had often wondered about the Bagua circle walking and the altered states of consciousness after experiencing it spontaneously while doing the lying down, sitting, standing meditation. Is this related to energy traveling up your central channel? All right, let me read that question again so I don't answer the wrong questions. Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay, so if you did experience these states, like you said, in laying down, sitting, and standing meditation, then obviously you'll experience the sensory channel while you're walking. But I think it's important to let me review the premise first for those that didn't see the previous episode. Basically, when you're standing, doing a lot of the heaven and earth moving qigong, it puts you in a flow state, the moving qigong, which is much easier than after that to learn pose training or standing static qigong. That is designed to boost your physical energy and make you a lot healthier. Once you have a strong body, you qualify to safely sit for extremely long periods of time in sitting meditation. While you're sitting in sitting meditation is designed to heal your emotions, and after that to go into the altered state of consciousness or merging with the Tao, which is really good to resolve issues of repressed memory, identity, and death anxiety. And these things, I talked about it in past episodes, but they're really good to release suffering with issues like anxiety, depression, deep-seated fear, and a lot of emotional trauma. That's the sitting part. Whereas standing is excellent to deal with things like chronic fatigue, lack of energy, a lot of allergies, brain fog, getting sick all the time. So that kind of stuff, standing takes care of it. Moving is kind of like a middle ground that you can use as a warm-up to dial into sitting and standing. While you're doing these things that I just described, a lot of times your eyes are naturally closed or almost fully closed. Usually never fully closed. And then you enter altered state of consciousness, just like you would if you're doing psychedelics or if you're in deep prayer or flow tank therapy or something like that. When you enter altered state of consciousness, there's usually euphoria, right? And when you snap out of it, because you got to get off the meditation cushion sometimes, and you go back in your daily life where your eyes are fully open, your awareness constantly changes. Because in meditation, when your eyes are closed, you're not aware of the form or matter. Instead, you're in that light, euphoric, energetic state of consciousness. But in your daily life, when your eyes is open, most people are not aware of the energetic state around them, but rather they're aware of matter, of form, of what's solid, right? Whether it's people, place, or things. So there's a gap. You're feeling great in meditation. Once you finish meditation, you feel like crap in daily life, which is reported by a lot of students. And the reason for this is the bridge is missing. In classical Taoism, walking meditation or walking qigong is used to bridge the gap. So when you're in sitting meditation, for example, your mind is a 99 or 100% in the light or energetic conscious state, and 0% or 1% in the form state. Whereas in daily life, you're 100% in the form state and 0 or 1% in the energetic state. When you're doing walking meditation, by the very nature of the fact that you're walking, your eyes are open. Therefore, you're aware of the form state. But because the circle walking meditation, the way it is taught and designed and the methodology involved, you'll naturally tap back into the energetic state. So walking meditation is 50-50, which is really what you want as a practitioner. You wouldn't want to be in a trance or in a sitting meditation state in your daily life because it's not safe to function. So 50-50 is good. That becomes the bridge, and it allows you in daily life to keep at least 50% of the sensations that you have received in sitting meditation. And that's what this question was referring to, episode 60. For those that are interested in watching, you can go into the playlist on my channel and watch episode 60 that dives into this in detail. So now you're asking, is that related to a central channel? When you do the walking meditation, the answer, of course, is yes. That's part of the methodology. But the most important thing is do not get emotionally or intellectually hung up on the channel or where the energy is moving. Because the reality of it is, if you do it right when you walk in the circle, it will come from every single direction that you can imagine. And it will happen spontaneously. And for it to happen, spontaneously, you have to let go your fixation or control of where the energy will be, if that makes sense. You have to give up control for this to happen the way it's supposed to happen. For things to happen spontaneously, we have to give up control. So that's the first thing. Second thing, besides the fact that this type of walking meditation allows you to retain 50% of your meditative state that you achieve in sitting, one of the benefits that I didn't talk about last episode that is equally important is you don't expect this to happen, right? Because when I was first learning the walking meditation to bridge the gap that we talk about, I was able to keep about 30 to 50% of the sensation I get in sitting while my eyes are open, and that was great. But one of the benefits that snuck up on me that I never expected to is when you do a lot of walking meditation, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this that do a lot of Bagua, or the original Taoist walking meditation is, when you're out in your daily life, we walk a lot, right? Rather we're in a grocery store, or rather we're just taking a walk, or we're in a mall, or whatever. And because you do a lot of walking meditation, as soon as you're walking around your daily life, one of the things that happened that snuck up on me is you start to become crazy aware of your environment, including people's emotional states. And when it first turned on, because you're not used to getting it cranked up like that, you get surprised, but not in a fearful, negative way. You get surprised in a more awake, euphoric way, I guess is the best way I can explain it. It trips you out the first few times. So when you become super aware of your environment, in the same time that is happening, one of the things that happen is, I don't know how to describe it, but you start getting like this shield, kind of like people's negative emotions doesn't affect you. Like it just bounces off you. It's kind of like in a martial context. When you do circle walking, it's a style of martial art called Bagua. And the guy's punching you, you will circle around it. You will avoid the solid and go around into negative space. Just like a waterfall, when it encounters a rock, it goes over it, around it. He doesn't get stuck. He just flow around it, right? So you start to get that sensation when you do a lot of walking meditation. Like you'll be walking down the street, or you're walking in a coffee shop, or you're walking in a grocery store, and someone's really depressed or angry or rude or whatever their negative stress state is. You seem to somehow able to just walk around it. It's like if you're a very sensitive person, maybe before when you're out in the area of town where there's a lot of stress and people are very angry, or they're very rude, or they're whatever negative vibe there is, it might affect your mood. Some people are like that. Or more directly, maybe you're at work and you have to deal with a boss or a customer that's really stressed out and they're dumping it on you, and you feel like they're a vampire sucking all the energy out of you. That kind of feeling. When you do a lot of walking meditation, it's kind of like it bounces off you. You just kind of walk around their stuff. Even when you're not physically walking, it's like they shoot some negative stuff at you, and your state just goes around it. So the first time that happened, you start giggling because that wasn't the promise. Because you start learning the circle walking to retain the meditative state that we talked about in the beginning of this podcast. So the last thing I was assuming is this kind of walk around stuff would happen. When it first started happening, I had to call my teacher because I was shocked in a happy way. Like, hey, I thought this is for this, but now it came with an additional benefit. And my teacher's like, wow, you're complaining? I was like, no, man, I'm really thankful. So I just thought I'll throw that out there because judging by a lot of questions I've been getting, including this one, after the circle walking articles I wrote and also the podcast came out, a lot of people assume it's just for energetic cultivation, which it is. But one of the side benefits is what I just talked about. You seem to kind of just walk around people's negative stuff. But at first you're not conscious of it. You just notice your mood is a lot harder to affect. And when you're around people that tend to suck your energy, they can no longer do that. And I think that's a really, really good benefit for people that practice Qigong, because at least in my school, in the Taoist community, I get that kind of message a lot from my students. Like, oh, Adam, thanks for sharing the sitting meditation. I've been feeling a lot better lately, less stressed, less anxious, less depressed, and I'm feeling great. But here's the problem. As soon as I go to work, or as soon as I see my girlfriend, or as soon as I see my parents, whatever, their negative vibe really affects me. Their criticism, their mood, everything. I feel like they're sucking the life force out of me. So that's the type of message I get at least once a week, right? So I think, yes, sitting is great, standing is great, moving qigong is great, but that's one thing that walking qigong has that is really loud, that I think can really help a lot of people that do just sitting meditation or just Tai Chi or just standing qigong. So it's good to not overlook walking. But easier said than done. Of course, you got to learn the actual training method, not just walk in a circle, right? But I thought I'd bring that up. Now, the second thing I want to say that goes according to this is for some of the students that got to this level that I just talked about, where they have done the standing, they have done the sitting. So they've done the standing and get a lot of physical energy. And then they have done the sitting and they notice that their depression and their anxiety has left, which is very common for people that learn the sitting meditation properly, all the methods and techniques, right? And then if they progress farther, they do the walking meditation to retain the state. And after about 2 months usually, they start getting the benefit I just talked about, where they feel like people's negative vibe or mood or attempt to suck your energy or dump their mood and problems on you just doesn't affect you anymore. You kind of walk around it. And then you feel this new happiness that you can do that it is doing that actually. But I noticed the next thing that happens, and this usually happens to really nice people or really sensitive type of students, is they start feeling this overwhelming guilt. And it's just another stage we got to work through. And that is, once they get to that point of development where people's negative mood don't affect them very much and they're walking around it energetically, they start feeling this guilt. Like, it's kind of like what some expats kind of describe when they got interviewed about living in a third world country to save money. This just remind me of that documentary where this guy's like, look, you know, back in the country that I live in, I'm barely making ends meet. But now that I live in this country, bringing my money over, I can live like a king. And at first I was really, really happy about that. But after a few years, I feel like crap. I feel this overwhelming guilt because here I am living like a king, but the villagers here don't even have clean water or can't afford proper food and clothing. And here I am eating king crab kind of thing, right? So this kind of idea starts to happen with people that do a lot of walking meditation after they have done the sitting, because they're under a blissful, peaceful, euphoric state, and people's negative mood can't affect them that much anymore. So they're feeling great, equivalent to the expat that said he was eating king crab. But yet, people around you, when you're in a grocery store or wherever, if you live in a big city, you notice people are anxious, they're depressed, they're pissed off, and they're extremely stressed out. Bottom line, they're suffering. So now you start feeling this guilt, like, holy shit, I'm feeling great, and people are in pain, man, you know? What can I do to help? At this point, it's like a crossroad, right? Of course you want to help. Of course you have compassion. But it's important for you to recognize, like, I probably can't say this that well, so I'm just going to quote the Buddha, because you can say it a couple zillion times better than I ever could. And he says, no one can help you and no one may. I think that's a very important distinction to make, because why did he say no one can help you and no one may? The reason is no one can help you because he can show you the path, but you have to walk it. This stuff, sitting meditation, merging and detoxing and getting rid of childhood emotions and suppressed memory and opening up all the centers, all the stuff we do in meditation, you have to practice for it to work. You can talk about it all day, but until you learn the proper methods and practice consistently, nothing's going to help you, right? So no one can save you. And then the second part of that sentence, he says, and no one may. The reason is free will, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, you feel bad that you're eating king crab and people are feeling like crap, but that's like someone is hurting in a pit and you throw them a rope, right? If the person refuses to climb up because they feel like they're sitting and suffering a little longer, then who are you to judge? It's free will. Your job is not to dictate to people what they should or shouldn't do or judge, but rather to create a space that's open that, if they choose to, they can come and practice and feel better. If they choose not to, then they don't. They're not ready yet. So that's more, in my mind, from a Taoist or Buddhist point of view, that's compassion, instead of having a savior complex, which can easily lead to self-righteousness. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're doing a walking meditation and you're getting to the point where you feel like you're eating king crab and you get inner peace and bliss and you're walking around negative emotions while other people are feeling like crap and you feel this guilt. May I suggest at that point your guilt's probably misplaced. It's actually an illusion, because it's like, look, you already threw down a rope. You created the space. If they wanted to feel better, they can come join you in practicing. And if they don't, that's up to them. It's not on you, right? So that's more Taoist point of view, because Taoist is famous for not having a savior's complex and carrying this big load of unnecessary guilt. And when I say create a space, it could be like it's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm throwing hints out in the podcast. When people talk about it, that's great. But until they actually join a school, join my school, join anyone's school, a good school, and learn the actual methods and practice, nothing's going to help, right? It's up to them if they want to do it. That's one example. But another example could be, even if you're not teaching or running a community, just your personal space is a space. So just the way you are with other people, if you have good intention, you open up, you create the space. If they don't want to come in and feel better and they want to continue to be pissed off or whatever, then you walking around the bad stuff doesn't make you a bad person, right? This is really important because a lot of people suffer from a kind of burnt out, whether it's a profession like a nurse or a social worker or a doctor, whatever, or it could be maybe just a family role as a sibling or as a son or as a mother. And sometimes people carry too much guilt when it's not necessary. And I think students that's going through the walking meditation stage of development would have to examine this. It will confront you. So I hope that makes some sense. Please leave your message below so we can continue this conversation if you have any questions. And also, hope to see you guys in the Taoist community in our online school. We train once a week in the live stream classes where we do guided meditation in laying down, sitting, standing, and moving qigong. And the other half of class is live Q&A. All classes are recorded in the student library, and they also come with a private student forum for personalized coaching. All right, guys, have a good night. See you next time.